Number 5, Jesus comes to us and he says, do not be anxious, for life does not consist of the necessities. You are known and loved and valuable and significant. You don't need to carry the weight of being God. You're safe and secure because I love you and I'm for you. Fifthly, you have a Father who is near and knows your needs. Meaning each of us walked in this morning with the question ringing in our mind, am I alone today? Am I alone today? And Jesus is saying, you're not. Look at verse 29. And do not seek what you are to eat, what you are to drink, nor be worried. For all of the nations of the world seek after these things, and your Father knows that you need them. Instead, seek His kingdom, and these things will be added to you. What is He saying? He's saying, look, literally, the text could read, don't set your heart on obtaining the necessities that you think will bring you comfort and security. Should you work for them? Yes. Should you be responsible? Yes. Should you plan ahead? Yes. Just don't let them become the predominant orientation of your life. The predominant thing in which you meditate on and pursue after at any cost. The world does that because that's all they have to hope in. You have me and I am near. Therefore, you should live in such a way that would show the consistency of having the one all-powerful God near to you. God constantly comforting His people. Fear not, for I am with you. Not fear not, figure it out. Fear not because I am with you. God's not interested in just the big picture of your life. He cares about the details. Earlier in the text, in Luke chapter 12, verse 7, you don't need to turn there, he says this, fear not, are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies, and not one of them is forgotten by God? Why, even the hairs on your head are all numbered. Fear not, for you are more valuable than sparrows. Now, I'm saying this, and some of you are going, I've heard this before. I'm saying you still don't get it. As I read through this passage and prayed on these points, I thought, God, this is so unoriginal. This is going to be boring. And God said, tell him anyways. Tell him anyways. Because Christianity is not so much about learning new things as it is about being reminded of what we already know and actually working to believe it to be true and walk it out like we think it is. Meaning, you probably have heard before that God is near. I'm exhorting you and inviting you this morning to believe it to be true. That He's for you, that He stands with you, flaming sword in hand, laughing at any enemy that might come your way, and then wondering why you're acting afraid. Levi came into the living room a few nights ago and he was afraid. He was woken up by a bad dream, he was crying, and he says, is Levi here? Levi, are you here, buddy? Hey, buddy, do you remember this? Came out in the living room and he said, Daddy, I'm afraid. I said, what happened? He said, I had a bad dream. A big monster came in our room and tried to get us. And I'm thinking like, well, that probably came from the story I told him right before he went to bed. So note to self, different bedtime story. And I said, buddy, you don't need to be afraid. He's like, but, and did it help Levi when I said, buddy, you don't need to be afraid? Did it help him? No. Daddy, I'm afraid. I said, hey, buddy, I go, look. I started to rationalize with him. Buddy, you don't need to be afraid, because guess what? LMA's sleeping on the floor, so if a monster comes in, it'll eat her first. And he does this. You remember this, Levi? He goes, and he stopped, and he goes, that didn't help me, Dad. That didn't help me at all. So I brought him close. I said, hey, Pa, I was just joking. I said, guess what? Because in his mind, I can't rationalize with him that an animal can't get in the house. Doors are locked, windows are locked. So here's how I comfort him. Buddy, if anything comes in this house, they have to go through me first. Don't be anxious, buddy. I'm here and I'm near. and I'm big, and I'm strong. And if somebody riles me and goes after you, there will be hell to pay. Thanks, Dad. Peace. Not because I rationalized his fears away, but because I comforted him with my nearness as his father. And many of you here today are gripped with fear. Probably most of it's irrational, but some of it's probably not. And I could say, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. You're like, yeah, walk in my boots for 2 seconds and then tell me not to be afraid. So I'm saying this morning, don't be anxious. Not because the circumstance with your spouse might change today, or the circumstance with your job might change today, or the circumstance with your kid who's flipping you the bird might change today. I'm saying, don't be anxious because Jesus is near. Do you know that? He's near, and he's big, and he's strong, and he's for you.